Ladies and gents, welcome back. Regime uncertainty is a term that I've used previous in videos on this channel, and that had to do with protesters in Canada having their assets frozen for daring to disagree with policy issues in the country. Now we have this from the Financial Post. Money drain. Canadian families and entrepreneurs are fleeing for better climes. Having assets in safe jurisdictions outside of your country of residence is part of the solution for long-lasting wealth. People are leaving Canada, and not only are they leaving Canada, but they're leaving Canada's financial sector, financial markets, with their money. And that is not a great thing for Canadians. Rule number 1, never lose your money, Warren Buffett said. The article goes on with these giant ads. What are the secrets to generational wealth? Is it that someone in the family created much wealth and that it's impossible to spend or lose? Is it the best investments, whether that's real estate, stocks, venture capital, or crypto? Does having the proper trust structure keep your heirs from spending the wealth unwisely? Or is aggressive tax planning the secret ingredient to the recipe? The questions have been frequently heard in North America and Europe for the past 7 decades, but other plans for the world, such as Cuba, North Korea, China, Venezuela, and former members of the Soviet Union, have felt the effects of totalitarian regimes that have stolen many families' wealth. Other families have maintained their wealth since the 1700s, for example, the Rothschilds. He goes on to talk about how the Rothschild family has been able to maintain their wealth. I'm sure some people are familiar with that already. Many of the financial industries speak of diversification across asset classes such as stocks, Canada versus global, bonds, and alternative investments like real estate, private equity, and even crypto. But what many forget is jurisdiction risk, which is what I was referring to in regime uncertainty. Canada, since its inception in 1867, has been a beacon for hardworking individuals and families from around the world. Our rule of law and lack of corruption made Canada a sought-after place to raise a family, work, or create a business. Lack of corruption being a very heavy one here, and rule of law. Could things change to such a degree that the risk of forfeiture of assets to the crown becomes a significant risk? No, says the article. I might not give it a clear no on that one. However, the path is obfuscated because the risks are significant. A combination of progressive and high taxation, along with overstep in regulation and the loss of individuals' rights and freedoms. This is akin to the story of the frog being boiled slowly. By the time he feels it's uncomfortable, it's already too late to jump out. That leads us to the current times. I've seen an exodus of family enterprises and entrepreneurs from Canada during the past few years, and the flow is getting faster. These families have been moving human and financial capital to safer climes. These aren't a bunch of trust fund babies, but into individuals who can see opportunity and devote their efforts to it. Sometimes they win, sometimes they lose, but what they have is a good understanding of the risks. For families of meaningful wealth, we're not suggesting the use of ultra-secretive, low-tax offshore jurisdictions, which, due to the Common Reporting Standard, CRS, have become much less secretive. For the record, the United States is becoming the most significant offshore location in the world because it's not a member of CRS, even though it has meaningful income taxes. What should be completed is a thoughtful analysis of various countries, the pros and cons of them, with the objective of being to determine if there are better countries where ownership of an investment should arise and where the wealth creator should hold a passport to live. The key to success is never lose your money. As Warren Buffett's rule number 2 states, never forget rule number 1. It's a bit like Fight Club. So the idea being here is regime uncertainty. And regime uncertainty is defined here by Robert Higgs. The regime uncertainty is a concept developed by Robert Higgs that describes a pervasive lack of confidence among investors in their ability to foresee the extent in which future government actions will alter their private property rights. Higgs used this concept to explain the seriousness and prolonged duration of some economic crises, like the Great Depression or the current Great Recession at the time that this article was written. This is a new article that came out since the one from the Financial Times. Abramoff is a major shareholder in Everez, a British multinational manufacturing company that operates a steel mill in Regina. So we had news that protesters against federal mandates had assets seized through asset forfeiture. Oligarch, what is this? This oligarch from Russia has now had his assets seized. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau capped a week-long European trip on March 11th by slapping new sanctions on Russia's oligarch Roman Abramovich, who has become an international poster boy for the largesse that enabled President Vladimir Putin's war on Ukraine. Now, they may be going with bad guys at the moment. Apparently, this guy is a real baddie, and the government wants to take his money away. Stop him from being able to make money to bring back to Russia is the MO here. But what it is that people's assets are being frozen. So this is actually causing an issue with investors around the world who have money tied in the Canadian markets. And they're seeing this and going, wait a second, bad guys today, will it always be bad guys or how will the changing tides shift to make me a bad guy possibly, or at least my assets in Canada? The sanctions on Russian officials and oligarchs like Abramovich are directed at them so that they cannot profit or benefit from economic activities in Canada or the hard work of Canadians working with companies they have investments in. No telling what will happen to those assets and how that will affect the individuals that work with the capital in Canada at the moment. Now, this is what happens eventually when situations like this excel to their extremes. Venezuela's tragic mass exodus has only one cause: socialism. So all the capital left Venezuela and poverty set in really fast, because typically it happens slowly, little bit by little bit, and then all at once. What happened? The United Nations estimate that at least 2.3 million people have departed Venezuela since 2015. It's the current economic and political crisis since the economic political crisis began. So that's just a little taste of what happens in a climate of regime uncertainty, an economic uncertainty, when investors get nervous and they start pulling their money out. Let's hope things get better. I don't want to see Canada going down the hill, going down the drain, but this seems to be a trend that's happening, and I just wanted to report on it. So thanks for tuning in. Be sure to check out other videos on the channel. Make sure you're subscribed and keep on trucking.